So that should be going now as well. I'm going to go ahead and get everyone checked in. I see that we have the zoning administrator, Emily A. House here. Hi, Emily. Welcome. I see that we also have two individuals under Bob Lake. If each of you could give me your names and who you're representing here today.
My name is Bob Lake with Allison Landscaping, and I am Todd Allison with Allison Landscaping.
Okay, great. Welcome. Good start here. All right, and then I have a Gail Bessing.
Yeah, actually, this is Ed Bosing. Somehow my wife's name got on there. I'm GCB Architects. So.
No problem. Al, do you intend on providing any testimony here today?
I'm sorry?
Do you intend on providing any testimony here today?
If needed, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. If that moment does arise, I'll ask at that time that you'll activate your camera. You don't need to have it on for the rest of the hearing if you don't like, but I like to give people a heads up that they may be on camera in the near future. Okay, and then we have Walt Mueller, former zoning plans examiner, Walt Mueller. Welcome, Walt.
Good morning, David. Or it's afternoon, sorry.
Yeah, it is. Walt, what's your official title these days?
Assistant Supervisor of Inspections.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks, Walt. Welcome. Okay, last thing to do here is read through our hearing script. This will just cover the procedure of the hearing, and then we'll jump right into it. So this is the November 30th, 2022 session of the Zoning Hearing Examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the Zoning Hearing Examiner for the City of Cincinnati, and I'll preside over this hearing. The case before us today is case number ZHUV220015. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the Zoning Hearing Examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. I think I'll go a little bit out of order this time. I'm going to ask that Walt or Emily give me some background on the prior approval on this one. And then we will go to the applicant's attorney or the applicant's agent to present the case. If there were anyone here from the public, they would have an opportunity to testify after the applicant had presented its case. I will give the zoning department another opportunity to tell me about the project or any testimony in addition to their staff report in terms of a recommendation or anything like that. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut that testimony and then make any closing statements. So for our purposes here today, again, I'm going to give the zoning department an opportunity to give me a little bit of background on this case. I'm then going to go to the landscaping folks and Mr. Bessing to tell me about the project, why I should approve this, anything else, any other background information I need to know, and why this is appropriate for me to approve. I'll then go back to zoning for them to tell me a little bit more about the substance of this particular application today and allow you guys to respond to that, make any closing statements. I'll have some questions along the way, and then we'll wrap everything up. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony or documents, which is generally evidence you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present at this hearing. Let's see. In the event of any technical difficulties with the Zoom technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those on the fly. But to the extent there's some defect in the tech that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with this hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay. The last thing I need to do is just swear in all of our witnesses. So if you intend on providing any testimony here today, making any comments, asking any questions, really doing anything other than just strictly observing here today, then the zoning code requires that I swear you in. So I'm going to do that now. So if that's you and you're going to provide any testimony here today, I'd ask that you unmute now. And I need everyone to raise their right hand and I need everyone to answer out loud. So again, if you take yourself off mute, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll need the folks in the landscaping company to take themselves off mute. Okay.
Hear us
And
now?
yeah, did you answer in the affirmative?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. All right, I think we're ready to proceed here. Who's going to be taking the lead here on the present? Well, I'm sorry. Let's start again with zoning. Emily or Walt, want to tell me what happened here in the past? I see that there's some prior approval for this. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and that's the reason why I'm still involved with this. I was involved with this starting way back in 2017, which I believe was just prior to Allison obtaining the property or around that time. So there was a previous approval before this one that we even referenced in 2019, or an application that was denied. The area down there is in a unique situation, a unique place. It's kind of like right at the edge of an RFR, and across the street is actually belongs to a different municipality, and it's a commercial type uses across the street. So similar like use to what they proposed there. The original proposal was for a landscape business, and it was a extremely ambitious project that they were doing there, which included an office building that would be part of that process. And there was an application that was applied for for that office building. The area that we're talking about today, there was originally there was, I believe, 5 or 6 parcels. So they did consolidate the landscaping business into one parcel, and they left the storage building off to the side as a single parcel. In the original hearing, since storage is not a permitted use, this building in this parcel was part of that hearing. It was declared to be a storage building only. So its zoning use and approval was based as storage only. The applicant can explain a little bit more as we move forward, though, as they were unable to at this time to move forward with the actual office building, the building of a new office building on the site where it was proposed. And they would like to move into this storage building and create an office for their landscaping business there. The office originally was considered accessory to the landscaping use on the original site, but since this is a separate parcel and this was designated for storage only, it would require a use variance to turn this into a storage building. I mean, into an office building. So that's why we're here where we are. So
Got it. Okay.
Some of the additional things they want to do here, and we'll get a little bit more in depth, are conditional. But since this is a use variance, the conditions were just added to that approval at the end.
Got it. Okay. Thanks, Walt. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's going to be taking the lead for us here on the applicant on our side?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Todd Allison. Could you repeat? I missed.
Yeah, I asked who's going to be leading
I
off.
will.
for us here.
Okay, sorry. Todd Allison, yes.
Sure. The floor is yours.
Everything that Walt said is, correct as far as what our use variance request is for. It all started with a plan to construct a 5,000 square foot whole building, which is been constructed and completed. Develop the property with all the associated utilities, which have all been completed. And our original estimates to get the building, the office building, 2,800 square foot office building, which was approved, virtually the expenses just doubled throughout the COVID. Unfortunately, that's when our construction was occurring. As a result, we just decided to pull the plug on that and look for alternative opportunities. And with owning the 10,000 square foot existing warehouse, we looked at taking one of the units, which is 2,500 square foot, a 50 by 50 foot, and building out the interior, which was essentially the same square footage as the proposed office building, which was originally approved. We looked at the cost for doing so, and it was well within our budget means. And so that brings us to the table here today.
Now, when you say building out one of the units, do you mean?
It's a 10,000 square foot building. It's broken up into 4 2,500 square foot units. 3 of those are currently leased out. There we go, for storage. And we're looking unit number 1, the far left. convert that out, build that out to our offices.
Gotcha. And leave the rest of this for storage or warehousing?
Correct.
Okay, anything else you'd like to tell me about the project? Why you think it should be granted?
I mean, we're bringing 30, 40 employees to the city of Cincinnati. You know, we've been improving the site. It was a fairly dilapidated site. We constantly get phone calls telling people, you know, letting us know how nice it looks. We're going to continue to make improvements. Image is everything for us. So I think it's a benefit, a win-win for us and a win-win for the city. We're, I guess, coming to the corridor of the city entrance. I think we're on the edge of Riverside, Delhi, and I think city where it all comes together. I don't believe there's going to be any negative impact to the community whatsoever. I don't know of any residential. I believe possibly to the west of us, a few hundred feet, there's a residential apartment on the north side. Everything else is pretty well heavy industrial, commercial.
Okay.
Pretty simple project overall, we think.
Okay. Anything else from Mr. Lake or Mr. Bessing?
This is Mr. Lake. Across the street from us is a company, Secco. They got offices and that in there. Like what was already said, we did have a planned building 500 feet away. With COVID and that just got too expensive. So for moving from one parcel to another and 500 feet away, doesn't seem like it should be that much of a, a detail. Since we own both the properties, and for the most part, it's going to make it makes it look much better down here than what it did before. Like Todd was saying, kind of was a junk storage yard, and we turned it into a nice landscaping facility down here.
Got it. Okay. Mr. Bessing, anything?
Now, I just would like to say that, by doing the office, by being able to put the office in the existing warehouse building, there's really not going to be any real visual impact on the area. The building's going to essentially stay the same. It's just a matter of the convenience of being able to use that last unit as an office building for Allison Landscaping. It makes all the sense in the world, really. Again, I know that the preference would have been to build a separate office building, but I think we're all aware of what COVID has done to the whole supply chain, and especially the cost of building materials. It's just gotten outrageous, and I think this is a good solution without creating any real problems for the area. So I think that, again, what's being proposed is something that's only going to help both Allison and the area in the long run.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Bessing. This is for anyone on the applicant owner side. There are recommended conditions from the zoning department that I can either adopt or not adopt in my formal decision. Have you had a chance to review what those recommendations are in their staff report?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any comments on any of those? Are you amenable to those?
Yeah, we read through them. I mean, everything seems reasonable. We have no issues with the conditions.
Okay.
We've actually already started moving out one of the trailers, cleaning up the storage area behind there. So we've already kind of started what was suggested in there to make this go a little bit easier.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Walt. So it's kind of weird. It sounds like there potentially is another economically viable use here because the rest of the building is storage, and that was their original intention. It seems like the economic viability hardship comes in the form of, actually constructing a separate office building due to supply chain issues.
Well, that's part of it, and that's one thing that we reviewed. Emily and I walked through this several times. the fact that the initial storage use was done through a variance anyway, and that this is a substantial change, that initial variance we're rooting back to that not being used as it is, and being able to use the entire structure, which is why we worded it the way we did instead of just that single unit as an office space, would promote more reasonable use of that building, and also do what they're talking about, bringing a better sightlier, if that's not really a word, but you know what I mean, a better visual when you drive down the street. Currently, they do have a tenant at the far end who's doing storage out in front of the building, and I believe operating their business out of that. So that's not a storage use either. So so that's the reason why we went in the direction we did, and are explaining that we're kind of backing back out of their original application for storage. There'll be some accessory storage to office use that's there, and they can maintain the storage that they have there currently, providing they meet the recommendations.
Okay.
And I
So
think that's the important distinction. There's no economically viable permitted uses. The indoor storage is also not permitted in the zoning district. So it's a shift from one non-permitted use to another, but the basic finding that there's no economically viable permitted use stands.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks, Emily. Okay. Anything else from the architect or landscaping company in closing or otherwise before we adjourn here today?
So regarding the unit, I believe that's unit number 4, us being unit number 1, so on the opposite end, we have requested that they remove all their outside storage, and they have complied. They've got the front of the building cleaned up. I think possibly with the exception of a snow plow, which they use for snow removal. I believe they have everything cleaned up out front.
Okay.
But we are trying to stay on top of that process and keeping everything cleaned up.
And this is the building to
It's the same building. It's just all the way to the right.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Dave, I'd like to jump in. These guys have been actually working real hard with us since the beginning. They were kind of surprised that they would have to have a variance for this. And it's been a kind of a long haul to get through this, to get to where we are today. And I appreciate them working with us and working through the process, because it's a process, as you know, just to get from here to here. So, but we just want to say appreciate their work, and hopefully we can move forward this and present a nice front as they come into the city.
Okay. All right. I think we'll leave it at that. I want to thank everybody for their time and their testimony. I've had a chance to review the application materials and the staff report. I appreciate the clarity that I was able to gain here today through some of the testimony. And I think it would be impractical to strictly enforce the zoning code in this regard. And so I'm going to approve the relief as requested. I will likely attach the conditions in the staff report as well. I need to formalize that decision in a written decision. I don't know if you guys remember the process before, but I think it's likely a little bit different now. Once I finish the decisions, I put them into a PDF and I email them to you. As soon as you have that email, you can work with the zoning department to get the approvals. You'll have that email really just moments after the decision is complete. So you'll have that right away, and you'll be able to work with Walt immediately to get the zoning approvals, the zoning permits.
Could I just ask real quick? So once that is sent through the approval, will that then, I ask this because the building permit is pending. I have some corrections to make to that, but the initial comment was, well, zoning is not approved. So will that show up then as being approved on the, the CAGIS information or the application information online?
I believe so. Walt, do you want to?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's required of this hearing is that your decision needs to be attached to as an engineering change or as an application, as part of their application. so that it can be recorded and put into the system. Currently, I believe this is Mr. Sheldon's. Emily, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so Mr. Sheldon will get a copy of that if you can, so that he can make the entry into that. And then if you do the recommendations, that'd be part of the review. And if the architect can note those on his revisions that he's putting in, that this is what we're doing in these areas, that would really speed up the acceptance process.
Okay.
Any other questions about the process at all? Okay, great. Well, thanks again, everyone. Appreciate your testimony. Good luck with the project. Hope everything goes well. And yeah, have a great day. We're adjourned.